Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Rao. Hope you are all doing well and welcome. From today, I want to start a series that you may find interesting of what kind of spiritual quotes I had over the years that I found uh, very appealing and then learning from. It doesn't come from a particular book or particular saying or particular religion or anything like that. Whatever that appealed to me that came from different cultures, different spiritual teachers, not religious teachers, but the spiritual teachers. Those that have really undergone a real transformation, and then they were away from this mundane life that we all kind of struggle with, right? So they kind of had an inner transformation. So I'm going to do this for a few days, bring in some of the quotations that I was very much influenced by or thought about them and meditated upon them. And it's not like a textbook you read and then you get a lesson one time. That's not the way. It's like induces a profound self-inquiry within you, which kind of reveals the universal truths as they're operated in the world and around you and in you and all that. Okay, so I was writing for my blog today about this. Uh, Most of the people are get caught in the thoughts, right? That's very common. Everybody has thoughts, and we also know the thoughts change. But there is a thought construct personality, like I'm like this, I'm like that, I react like this, I kind of have conclusions like this, my life's lessons are this, that kind of thing, right? Which is actually is not us. We are not thought construct concepts. We use thoughts, but there is something behind the thought that is the I sense, what we feel about us, the intuitive awareness self, right? That doesn't change. You can check for yourself. Uh, Ever since childhood, you have the feeling of I, I sense versus I thought. I thought is something that we built it upon according to our conditioning, our culture, our family background, our learnings, and all that. That's kind of we can say ego or personality. But what we are, in a sense of intuitive sense, what we feel about ourselves, that never changes really. So everybody can check it for themselves. So the problem is we are dominated by the constructive self or ego. We never are in the real self. Or once in a while, maybe in a moment of crisis or in a moment of real realization, we may have it in the profound states when we are going through certain experiences in life, right? So the trick is, a lot of suffering is caused by our so-called thought construct, personality, ego. It kind of separates us from others. It kind of separates from our own self. It kind of creates divisions with everything and everywhere. And so many problems come from that because we may say, well, our ego is hurt or our opinion about ourselves is hurt and all. So there's a lot of suffering when you are in the thought construct, ego or personality. So this saying was from Ramana Maharshi. What he said was, thoughts change, but not you, the real self, the conscious being that is there in everybody, that doesn't change. And because thoughts, we kind of hang on to them like they are the dears and they are the real thing, we kind of go through a lot of turmoil in our mind, in our interior. But if you learn to really observe yourself and then watch the thoughts come and go, but there is an underlying sense or witness or intuition that always feels that real you. And that is there in everybody. That's where we are kind of interconnected with everybody. So that gives you tremendous feeling of oneness with everybody, and thereby you are not going to be violent, you are not going to be separative, you are not going to be discriminative, any of that. So when I was really looking at people, our patients and all that, when they come, the human suffering, human pain, human happiness, all those things are look alike, but the circumstances are different. But how we react, how we manage our reactions depends upon whether we are in our thoughts or we are in our real self, right? So if we are in the thought means, suppose you are thinking of everything in the past tense or in the future sense, that means you are not in your real self, but in your thoughts or your mind. So that's where all the suffering is. But if you are not on the past or the future, where are you? You are in the present, right? That is the one we want to practice. We want to be here and now and experience life as it is happening. So if you can observe yourself and then see, am I in this moment? Am I really able to really experience life as it is, as it's presenting? Whole lot of difference. Then you're not caught up in your own head. That is what it is. When you are in the past or in the future, you are caught up in the head. But life is maybe different for you outside. That's why the saying goes on saying, all the thoughts that you have will change, but not your real self. Okay. So then actually you'll be living in the present, you are in touch with the life, you are experiencing it, not imagining or not thinking about things, but you are actually in experience of the person in front of you or a thing in front of you or something happening or all that. This kind of gives you a lot of relief from the burden of thought. See, the whole thing started with Western philosophers, especially Rene Descartes talked about this. He said, I think, therefore I am. And that is there the fallacy is. Because you are thinking, people identify with that thinking self as their real self. No, they are only thoughts. They kind of give you the illusion of having a mind, an ego, a personality, but they change, right? So if you hang on to it, then you are confronting with the real life, which is in the present, right? So be in the present, be in touch with life, and see what happens within you. You will have whole lot of burden gone. All your conclusions, all your prejudices, concepts, all your differences, they all fall off. Then you're going to pay the attention to the life as a kid who is just opening up his mind and he's trying to understand life as it is happening to him. He has a beginner's mind, right? That kind of mind absorbs everything as it is perceived by the mind, right? But otherwise, if you are really caught on the thought, you'll be building on something that's already happened or that may not happen in the future. But if you can perceive things as they're happening, there's a whole lot of change, and there's a lightness that happens. That lightness is very rewarding, and you have kind of found the clue for the suffering, human suffering. So this kind of statement really helped me to understand living in the present, letting go the ego, letting go the personality, and also most important thing is able to see this being in everybody, right? And that being is in the present. So then it becomes so much easier to accept other people, to really understand where they are coming from and all that. Okay, so that way you can really see the suffering they are going through too. I see that in my family, in my sister, my wife, my daughter, everybody. You see that it's a struggle for them to be in the present because they're caught up in this thought created network. They think those thoughts are constructed as a personality is them. But once I point it out, they come back to the present right away. Then all that burden that they had up to them drops, right? So it's not that I am doing it, it's just bringing their attention back to themselves. Okay. So these kind of, I'm going to bring that blog I wrote on this topic, and I'll probably give you the link tomorrow, and or link to my blog. Then you can go and read that leisurely. Okay. So I'm going to put all this on my blog also, because I have not been contributing there. Even though I'm making videos and all that, I have tons of material that I could put there. But it has to have a relevance. That's why I was waiting. So these spiritual quotations, I hope you read them and don't agree with me or don't follow it just like that, but explore that. Explore and find out the truth of the matter by yourself and see how it contradicts with what you have learned. I said, Rene Descartes, he said, I think, therefore I am. That's kind of falling short of who we are. We are that changeless, eternal inner essence that doesn't change. And that is the one that has thoughts. And thoughts change. So, how can you say the thoughts that change all the time is the permanent you? Question that and find out the answers and all that, so this will be a service like I'm going to like a sharing, right? Not even service, sharing of what the quotes were, where they came from, and how did they really clarified things for me. Okay, let's say that. So then the clarity itself is the blessing, right? And you walk around in the present, not having any burden on your mind, and light, and also really having acceptance of everybody, because you understand what they are going through and how you are emerging out of that confusion, and what was the clarity, what's the blessing of the clarity. Okay, that's, so a lot of people don't have the clarity, and then they kind of end up in some concept or construct of, done by the concepts, and then they kind of have confrontation with other people who have different concepts. But in essence, we're all one human tribe, right? So how do we have these differences? How do we get over those differences? That's important. Okay. So I hope people have an idea of where I'm going. For those people who do not know me, as you know, I'm an internal medicine doctor and practiced about 40 some years. And then I also have master's in biomedical informatics. And I also am a yoga practitioner and an ancient wisdom student. I learned a lot from the ancient wisdom, as much, if not more, of the modern medicine and informatics too. I'm very much entrenched in the scientific findings that are coming on. I'm very involved in that. But at the same time, for inner matters, I look to the ancient wisdom. And my interior, my thinking, my feeling, my understanding, my clarity, all were influenced by ancient wisdom because they are not going back. It's like we are not going to the level of their awareness. But once we are there, we will see how admirable their findings were. And then you can, they always said, question, see, and find out. Don't believe us. Don't accept anything like that. And that is in itself is a scientific way too. So I consider this ancient wisdom inner sciences, right? Science on the mind, science on the ego, science on the feeling, science on the so many divisions we have internally because we identify a different way, but we don't really relate to people like we are human beings, right? People have different egos, right? Somebody in the West, they will come across like we know everything, we are the boss of the world, and they look down upon other cultures as though they are retrograde or something. And that's all is doing by the ego. Okay. So once you see that, then you see, okay, I'm only one earth. We are all one earth, and all these other things are just convenient divisions like geographical history. All those things are formed. But if you look at something like a clubhouse or wisdom, it's passing barriers, right? We talk to everybody on the earth, whoever have access, who have here, you can talk to them. So all those barriers are there. But are the barriers are there within you? That's what we need to find out. For everybody, for themselves. It cannot be something preached or dictated or telling people to follow. No, I'm inviting people to investigate by themselves on these uh, sayings that I have been influenced by. So I will bring at least a few of them, 5 to 10 of them, and so that we can pay attention to that. You can listen to that. You can then read the blogs that I wrote about these things, and then you can communicate with me if you are interested. I'll be happy to talk to them in those matters, not debating, not arguing, but more like kind of searching for the truth in these sayings of people who are not really dividing human beings, but they are kind of trying to provide them clarity of what's going on. Yes. So that's about it. I'm going to make these things brief so that people will not lose the attention. I think I talked about how much? 20 minutes maybe? Yeah. So that's it says 20 minutes. So I'll be talking to you again tomorrow with another saying. If anybody wants to come up on the wisdom app, you are more than welcome to come and talk about this. Um, Otherwise, I'll be closing down pretty soon because this is a series I have started, and then probably if people respond and they find something very interesting, then we will do that again. Otherwise, we'll bring one at a day. So tonight's spiritual saying was, "Thoughts change, but not your real self," by Ramana Maharshi. There's a whole lot of saying about that. The whole thing is, he says, okay, thoughts change, but not you. Let go the passing thoughts and hold on to the unchanging self. Thoughts form the burden. When they're given up, you have the relief. Okay, you don't have to cease thinking, but just think of the root of the thought, where it is coming from. Then your real thought process stops, and then your real self comes out, and then you'll be able to be really free of this burden of thought. I don't really have that. I use conscious thought for doing things, but I'm not caught in the network of thought. I hope you can see the difference between getting caught up in the network of thought is what many people are doing. That's why they live in the past or the future, but they don't know how to learn from the past and use it, but let go of the past living experiences. They don't know how to plan and be not caught up in that, but they respond to things change. They can adapt easily if they have this attitude. I can do the brainstorming. I can say I'm going to achieve these things and all that. But as I'm attempting them, I'm going to be focused on the process and also be very vulnerable to whatever is presented to me. That's how it conscious thought works. Okay, so thought is an important principle for us, but thought is not everything. There's something beyond it. Just think about that. Okay. All right, so we will talk again tomorrow, and I'll bring in another spiritual quotation that I have not thought about what is, whatever I have understood over the years. I'll bring one by one. Okay, so it doesn't have to be one particular culture or religion, but it could be something profound that affects the humanity. That's what we'll do. Okay, thank you, and I will see you back again tomorrow. Bye bye.